The Eurozone crisis rumbles on, but according to the OECD's latest economic outlook, emerging economies like China and Brazil are set for cyclical upswing. Well, in full swing in Sydney today was the Latin America Down Under conference, teeming with ambassadors and business leaders talking up what rewards closer ties between Australia and the continent could bring. I spoke to two such dignitaries, Charlie Sartain, Chief Executive Officer of Xstrata Copper, and Jose Blanco, Chairman of the Australia-Latin America Business Council. Charlie Sartain, Jose Blanco, welcome to the programme.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, there is very little coverage, really, of Latin America in Australia, and for many businesses it's just not on the radar. How important, Jose, is Latin America to world economics?
Well, I think we have to keep in mind that Latin America constitutes a market of some 500 million consumers. Argentina and Brazil are in the G20. Brazil is now ranked as the 6th largest economy in the world.
We hug on to this idea that China and the growth of the Chinese middle class is going to be so important for Australia.
It is, but by the same token, it's always wise not to put all your eggs in the one basket. So being able to look to a market such as Brazil that has considerable upside, I think is very important. But also the wider Latin American region. If you think about it, South America, for example, has some 25% of the world's arable land, including some 32% of the unused land that is suitable for farming.
Yes, and I was going to say, of course, mining is the thing that we think about as well. Charlie Sartain, how important, for example, is Latin America to Xstrata?
Oh, it's very important for us. Around 70% of our financial performance as Xstrata Copper comes from Latin America. And we do see Latin America as an important destination for foreign investment in terms of mining investments as well.
So what sort of investments are we talking about? Because, I mean, ears will be pricking up now, I'm sure. Is it just in mining or mining services as well? Oh,
it's all of that. I think what we typically find, Teki, is when Latin America talks, the group of countries talks about $300 billion worth of investment over the next decade. That would be direct investment in mining projects, and then associated with that is the other investments that go towards supporting those mining investments. So it's the infrastructure and the mining related investments, and then all the services that follow.
There is a big push, of course, from Australia and from universities, I think, on the research side, and not just the English language type of education, but further research. Is that something that interests you, Charlie?
Oh, very much so, yes. And I think that'll be the future of the linkages between Australia and Latin America, to ensure that we impart and assist where we can the development of knowledge in technical training, in professional training, not just for Latin American students, but importantly for Australian students and graduates who can then take advantage of what's great economy and cultures in Latin America.
I mean, we seem to have a lot in common on that front. I mean, Jose, do you look at a lot on the education side as well?
We do. The Business Council has within its membership quite a lot of the universities, even some of the TAFEs that are active in engaging with the region. At the end of the day, it's those educational links that are going to forge the leaders of tomorrow that will have a knowledge of both what Australia has to offer and what the countries in Latin America have to offer.
You've had delegations over here, haven't you, looking at our TAFE system, and they quite like it.
We have, and also through Koala there's been a program that was undertaken a year ago that will be repeated next year, which is called the Australia-Latin America Leadership Program, that seeks to bring together future leaders from both the region and Australia, put them together for a number of weeks and develop a very tailored program that will create, as I say, the pool of human capital that we really need to strengthen the bilateral relationship.
Let me go to some of the stickier areas. Now, Argentina, recently, of course, we've had that renationalisation of the Argentinian energy company, but also we've got new tax policies now. Jose, how is that impacting the investment community outside of Argentina?
I don't think that we've yet seen the potential impact that those decisions may have, but clearly any investor that is contemplating going to a foreign market has a preference for a stable, legal and fiscal regime. And the more changes that are produced and the more unexpected that those changes may be, then the more wary it makes the investors. So I'd say it's preferable for there not to be those type of changes, but by the same token, it's a risk-reward mechanism. And I don't know that because that nationalisation has occurred that it would carry through into other sectors and affect other companies necessarily.
Well, that's the issue, isn't it? That there might be other states. I mean, partly because it's not known very well, I think Latin America is sometimes seen as quite a risky prospect for the uninitiated. Is it a riskier place to go and start a business or invest in than, say, Europe at the moment?
Well, firstly, I'd begin by saying that Latin America is not a single homogeneous region. And those people that are active in the region, I think, have the capacity to differentiate the operating environment that is offered by each of the markets. And really, they do assess the specific risk of the market that they are contemplating entering. So I don't think that what we've seen happen with Repsol will necessarily deter a lot of Australian investors from going to Latin America.
Well, let's hop over from Argentina to Brazil. Charlie, how much of a great story is Brazil? Because actually the growth has come off a little bit now.
Oh, it has, but it's an enormous economy, enormous country, and from a population point of view, and of course there's some focal points coming up over the coming years with the FIFA World Cup and the Olympics in Brazil in the space of 2 years.
With a lot of need for infrastructure, presumably.
Yeah, so I mean, I think there's been in the last few years there, I think a real appreciation of the solid policies that Lula originally brought through, which pleasantly surprised a lot of people. I think that sort of momentum in terms of policy position has been maintained. And I think what we're now seeing is companies and countries actually positioning themselves to take further advantage of strong relationships and investment in Brazil. So.
Jose, I see Westfield has moved into Brazil, and you're actually looking at trying to encourage financing coming out of Brazil and investing in Asia, in Australia, and potentially Asia through Australia. Is that right?
That's correct. I think we've raised two topics. Westfield's entry is very welcome because it helps to diversify Australia's presence in Brazil, hopefully as an initial movement, and then they'll look at other markets in due course. The other topic that you mentioned really is not just limited to Brazil. The way that I see it, the capital markets in Latin America are undergoing change, degrees of consolidation initiated by players within Brazil, Colombia, Chile, that are going cross-border. And what I see is that eventually there's going to be an increased need and desire for those capital markets to engage with those in Asia and Australia. And there is an opportunity for Australian asset managers to form alliances with appropriate counterparties in countries like Brazil, but also Chile, to initiate this process of creating products that can be offered in the respective markets.
Jose Blanco, Charlie Sartain, I think I've just scratched the surface, but thank you so much for giving us a taste of Latin America.
Okay.
Thanks very
Pleasure.
much.
Thank you.